Hi guys, you again with Committed to in studio. We have Viktor Sokolovsky and our new expert Alexander Movchan. And during this summer day, we have a really interested person, the customer experience rockstar James Dodkins. James, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. So let's start from the simple question: why actually customer experience?
Well, for me, I got into customer experience by accident. I never set out to get involved in customer experience. But I'm glad that I did because there's so many parallels between my life when I had a music career and my life now working with customer experience. Like, understanding who your fans are, understanding their needs, and then putting on a show for them is exactly the same as understanding who your customers are, understanding their needs, and creating an experience for them. And for me, there's very few professions in the world that you can really change the life of thousands, if not millions, of people around the world. And I truly believe that customer experience is one of those. So I got into it by accident, but I stayed in it because of those reasons.
Okay, uh, let's try to imagine that I'm a 10 years boy. It's probably hard, but let's try. Can you explain to the 10 years boy what actually customer experience is?
Well, it's a good question because I can explain it to adults, but explaining it to a boy, basically, it does depend, and I get hung up on this around the definitions of customer experience. If we're talking about the discipline of customer experience to a 10-year-old, it's what business people do to make their customers like them more. If we're talking about the discipline, if we're talking about an actual customer experience itself, it's the things that a customer does in order to achieve something with a company. I guess is the simplest way I could do it for a 10-year-old.
Okay, can we say that customer experience it's mostly not about the product, but about the manufacturer or about the brand?
It depends. It depends. Customer experience is about every single interaction, every single feeling, every single thought a customer has. It's not about just a product. It's not about just a manufacturer. It's about everything. So dependent on your environment, depending on your company, depending on what you do as a company, it differs. But as long as we all understand that customer experience is about every interaction, every thought, and every feeling a customer has, you're going to be heading in the right direction.
Uh, can you give, I would say, several examples? Just simple examples. Because I would say customer experience is like a buzzword. A lot of people talking about, a lot of people say they understand and can do customer experience. But example, please.
In what? Like, give me
Okay.
niche that down a little bit for
Okay.
me.
Let's say I have a mobile phone. I'm owner of
Yeah.
the mobile phone. Yes. What could be my customer experience with the manufacturer or with the mobile phone or whatever?
Well, it's a good, right. Okay, it's a good question, and in order to answer that properly, what I want to do is kind of redefine the way we think about customer experience, because as I've mentioned, you talk about the interactions, the thoughts, the feelings that a customer has with your company. But that's not really a customer's experience. That's just your part of the experience as a company. That's just a small part of a bigger picture. Now, if we were to truly look at the customer experience, we'd understand that it's the thoughts, the feelings, the interactions that a customer has along the journey towards achieving a goal or an outcome. And with that, you're going to be interacting with lots of different companies. So, the example you gave with the mobile phone, The customer's experience really starts the moment they decide that they need a new phone. The moment they realize, okay, I need to upgrade or I need a new phone. That start the clock at that point. That's when their experience starts. Okay. And it doesn't end until that phone is out of their possession, until it's gone, whether they sell it or lose it. that experience doesn't stop until then. And then you start to realize, okay, those thoughts, feelings, and interactions are going to be with lots of different companies along that way. So they think, okay, I need a new phone. The very next step, probably they're going to go to Google. So they're going to start searching for different phones. That's part of their experience. They're going to find the store that offers the best deal. They're going to go to that store. That's all part of the experience. The interactions with the people in that store is part of the experience. When they get the phone, when they unbox the phone, when they set up the phone, that is all part of the experience. When they download apps on the phone, when they make phone calls, when they send messages, when they do their emails, that is all part of the experience. When something goes wrong and they have to call up for help, that is part of the experience. When they make complaints, it's part of the experience. When the phone dies and they move on, that is part of the experience. So it's about looking at it holistically. It's not any one thing, it's everything.
Thank you.
James, the next natural question would be, how can we measure this customer experience? Because all the companies about the numbers, about how we could measure it. Could you please tell us?
It's a difficult one. And there are lots of measurements out there that companies use. Net Promoter Score is one. So that's the standard thing where you get asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend our services or our products or our company to friends or family or colleagues? That's the standard one. I don't think that that's the best way to do it. It is a way to do it. I don't think it's the best way to do it. I don't think it's a particularly robust way to do it. The problem with going out to your customers and asking them, hey, what did you think of our experience? Actually, there's many. Look, you got to think, literally, imagine you were an alien that came to Earth. You've got to explain this to them. You say, right, Mr. Alien, we don't know whether we're any good at doing what we do. We don't know whether we've delivered a good experience or not. So what we have to do is we deliver the experience and then we go to the customer and go, was that okay? Did you like that? It's kind of crazy. What I want to see is a world where we get to a place where we can measure internally whether we're doing a good job or not, whether we need to know as we are delivering the experience, whether we are delivering a good experience or not afterwards. The problem is there's only 4 types of people in the world that do customer feedback. Okay. They are the serial feedbackers. They are people that love it. They do it as a hobby. Every survey they get, they'll answer. They're the incentive feedbackers. So these are people that if you say, if you fill in this survey, you could win an iPad. Okay, then they're going to fill it in. You've got the extreme feedbackers, which is the largest population of people. They're people that will do feedback if the experience is extremely good or extremely bad. And then you've got people like me, maybe people like you, that don't do feedback surveys, because we've been trained over many years and many different interactions with companies. So there's kind of no point, because if I give you feedback, you're not going to do anything with it anyway. And realistically, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes to fill in a survey for the possibility of winning an iPad that I've already got. I'm just not going to do that. I'm a busy person. And what it means is that there's a very tiny proportion of your overall customer base that are actually filling in these surveys. Tiny percentage. And it's a very specific type of person. So the data you're getting back and then making decisions with is not good data. It's data about those very specific types of people. And if you are making massive business decisions on tiny little bits of data like that, I can only see it going wrong. There are good indicators in that. There are things that can draw your attention to certain things. I'm not denying that at all. It's a tough one. When it comes to measuring, the way I kind of look at it is like a football team. So, are you football fans?
Of course.
No.
Okay. Which team do you follow?
Uh, it's Dynamo Kiev, actually.
Of course. Cool. So I support a football team called Aston Villa that you may have heard of. That's the correct response. So you need to. There's three really simple questions that you need to ask. So we're going to look at this through the lens of a football team. So for a football team, who is the customer?
No,
People on the
watchers,
stadium.
yeah.
Fans. Yeah,
Fans,
the spectators, the fans. Yeah. So they are the customer. They go and watch their team play a game. What is their successful outcome?
Team wins, they get emotions,
Yep.
they get all of this stuff.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So the fan is the customer. The successful outcome is see the team win. How do you measure that?
By scoring.
Yeah. Yeah, about scoring.
Yeah,
but
score.
I think it's much more wider. It's also about the emotion that you get. Maybe they don't win, but didn't win, but you get the emotions on the penalties or on some kind of this stuff.
Yeah. There are secondary things, but the primary thing that you need to deliver as a football team to make your fans happy is win the game. And the way that you measure that is the score. Now, there's many other things that you can measure in a football game. How many passes were attempted? How many passes were completed? How many tackles were attempted? How many tackles were successful? How many yards were run? How many throw-ins? How many corners? How many free kicks? How many penalties? How many fouls? How many yellow cards? How many red cards? How many headers? How many left foot kicks were taken? How many right foot kicks were taken? How many left foot kicks were taken by right-footed players? How many right-footed kicks were taken by left-footed players? Literally, you laugh, but we do this in our companies. We measure this multitude of stuff. And the problem is no amount of analysis of that data will ever tell you whether you have delivered that successful outcome or not. You could stare at that data for 1,000,000 years, but you will never accurately be able to predict whether you have actually delivered the successful outcome or not. The only way you can do that is by looking at the score. That is the only thing. You won't send a survey to the fans a week later and say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, did we win the game? You wouldn't do that because it wouldn't make any sense, because you understand who they are and you understand their successful outcome. I kind of think we need to take this approach in business. Understand who is the customer, understand what is their successful outcome, and then ask, well, how do we measure that? How do we measure the delivery of that successful outcome? And the answer is going to be different for every company, in every experience, in every part of the world. But I kind of feel that that's the direction we need to take it in. Measure the delivery of those successful outcomes.
Can we say that customer experience is mostly about the emotional perception of the product?
Not, you could argue that, yeah. A lot of it is about perception, because if my perception is that it's bad, then it's bad. If your perception is that it's good, then it's good in your eyes. A lot of it is about perception and understanding who your customers are, understanding their expectations, understanding their needs, building the experiences to deliver that so that they perceive that it's good. Whether it's emotion is a big part of it, but you've got to understand that emotion is what's created by the experience. So you need to work backwards. And again, it's understanding who that customer is, understanding the successful outcome you need to deliver, and say, well, okay, what emotions do we want to create in our customers? What do we want them to feel? And then build the experiences to deliver those emotions, not the other way around.
Okay, thanks.
James, but actually, how do you analyze and explore the audience, the people, the customers that we are talking about?
Talk to them.
Talk to them. Any other methods or
Yeah.
just talking?
Just talk to them. No, talking to them is a great starting point. Talk to your customers. It's like the best advice in customer experience. Talk to your customers, and not just your customer experience department. Try and get everyone in the business to talk to their customers. Go and ask your CEO, when was the last time you actually spoke to a customer, and watch them get really embarrassed really quickly. Just get everyone to talk to customers, but observing behaviors for me is a big thing, and it's something I've been trying to learn more about recently. Looking at what customers actually do, looking at how they behave, looking at how they interact with your company, and trying to categorize customers by their behavioral sets, by how they interact with you, by looking at how a customer is behaving now, by changing something and see how that changes their behavior, and then see how that behavior affects your results. So for me, talk to customers, look at their behaviors.
But how to manage this process?
That's the $1 million question, mate. It depends, and that's the truth. It's a get out of jail free card for people like me to say it depends, but it depends. It depends what type of company you are. It depends what type of customers you've got. It depends what region of the world you're operating is. It depends.
Or maybe we could take some specific experience from your career, and you could say more about this.
Okay, so what do you give me a specific thing you want me to tell you about, and I'll do it.
Okay, it's about talking to the customers. It's a great start, but in the big company, there are a few people who are talking with the customers, but the managers, the CEO, the engineers, they are not talking to customers. It's hard to them. And it's a great challenge to all of the companies how to make the people who are doing with their hands to the people who are buying, to the customers.
Well, I'll give you some practical ideas that if you are listening to this and watching this and want to do that, I'll give you some practical things that you can do, or at least float the idea of to people. So this first idea, to be fair, this is probably the only idea I'll give you because it's the best one. Something that Zappos do. You heard of Zappos?
Sorry?
The company Zappos. They sell shoes online.
Yeah,
amongst
Zappos,
other things. Yeah. Their CEO, Tony Hsieh, has actually stepped down this week after 20-ish years being CEO of that company. Amazing company. Now, one of the things they do really well is that when you join the company, it doesn't matter what position you're going to take in that company. You could be arguably the new CEO of the company, even though they've promoted from inside the company. But let's say they didn't. Let's say they hired from outside of the company a brand new CEO. The first 4 weeks of that person working for the company will be on the phones helping customers. Every single new person that joins that company, it doesn't matter where they're going to be, will spend the first 4 weeks of their employment helping customers on the phones, because it gets them to talk to customers. It helps them understand the problems that customers face. It helps them understand the problems that the agents face. It helps them stay in the mind of the customer when they are making decisions throughout their career with the company. Now, the nice thing about it too is that's not it. They don't go, okay, right, you never have to go on the phones again. Every employee at Zappos, every employee has to spend 1 week a year on the phones helping customers. Most tend to cash in that time around the holidays because that's when they're busiest, but they have to spend 1 week a year on the phones helping customers. So it means that every single person in the organization will spend 1 week a year talking to customers, even the CEO. So last Christmas, if you called up Zappos, there is a chance, not a high chance, it's possible but not probable, that you could have spoken to Tony Hsieh on the phone, because even he did it. He spent 1 week a year on the phones helping customers. It is a great way to get everybody in the organization looking through the lens of the customer, thinking customer. And it doesn't have to be on the phones. If you've got any customer facing environment within your company, whether it be in a store, whether it be as a salesperson, whether it be a complaints department, whatever. But you can make it, you can float the idea, hey, why don't we spend more time with customers, talking to them? Why don't we make it that everyone in the company has to do this? There's a company in the UK called Tesco, which is a grocery store, and they, I'm not sure of the exact figure here, but it is something like every executive has to spend 1 day a month in a store helping customers. If anybody's watching this and knows the exact figure, let me know. But it's something similar to that. And many other companies are starting to adopt this as well, making it so that everyone in the company actually has to interact with customers, actually has to understand the customers, understand the problems that customers go through, to help customers understand the customer processes, understand the customer experiences, understand the products that they're making and selling. So I think that's a really, really good idea. The other way to do it is through an executive exchange scheme. So you get an executive to swap places with a frontline worker, whether it be 1 day a month or 1 day a year, whatever, just get it done. So they swap places. Right. Now, the cool thing is the executive will get a renewed respect and understanding of the work that frontline worker has to do every day. But the frontline worker will get a sort of a new vision of what the executive has to go through on a daily basis, the decisions they have to make, the juggling acts they have to do, the balances, the people they have to keep happy. Now, I will say, as an aside, I mentioned frontline worker. We talk about frontline workers. That is the single stupidest term in all of business. Okay, talking about a frontline worker. You know where the term frontline comes from?
I think near to, but if you could explain, so we get on
so
one.
When we talk about the front lines, we're talking about war. We're talking about soldiers on the front lines at war with another army or another. We're not at war with our customers. Why are we using that word? It's a stupid word. Now, you didn't ask me about that, but I said it, and so I wanted to point it out. Frontline is a stupid term, and we should stop using it. However, the other thing I'm talking about is putting schemes in your organization where executives and other people in the business that don't usually get to interact with customers, get them to interact with the customers, whether it be on the phones, whether it be on the floor in a shop, whether it be selling things, going out to meetings, whatever. Just get them out there, get them talking to customers.
Is it really possible in the real company? The CEO is talking to the customers, so it's really a great deal.
I've just given you an exact example where it happens. It is possible. The problem is executives don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And if the executives don't want to do that, they're not going to do that. And it means that their company's not going to be good. Look, again, this is a big thing for me. Look, if you receive bad customer experience from a company, if a company has given you a bad experience, it is because they have chosen to. They have made particular decisions along the way that have caused that bad experience to happen. And that is one of the choices that an executive could make that would contribute towards their entire culture not being customer centric, their culture creating those experiences that are bad. If the executive says, no, I am far too important to go and talk to my customers, that gives you an indication their experiences are probably going to be crappy.
Actually, I think it's pretty interesting because when actually CEO is the man is on the top of the mountain, so probably talking with the customers who are actually paying money, it seems to be the only one correct thing. Yes, I actually thank you for the example. It's pretty interesting. I'm really excited to hear about such things. I never heard this, but I would say it's quite reasonable. Great example. Now I know. Look, I read your profile, and you have a really impressive list of clients. And
Thank
actually,
you.
I'm really impressed that a lot of giants working with you. Let me just read the Disney, the Microsoft, Nike, Mercedes-Benz, Lego, IBM. Can I ask you what kind of actually service such giants asking or expecting from you? could you give, for example, could you say a few words? What kind of service you do, for example, for Disney?
Yeah, so training. So it's training their people to improve customer experience in a replicable and structured way. Now, people like Disney, you would think they don't need any help with that. How do you think they stay so good? Because they invest in training, they invest in, and the thing is, who knows, they might go out there and they might get 100 people to train their people on customer experience. They might hate 99% of it. Who knows? Maybe it's only one little part of it they actually take away from it, but they are willing to do that. They're willing to it now. I'm saying my training was amazing. Of course it was. But they're willing to do that. They're willing to learn. They're willing to say, okay, what are other people doing? What can we learn? How can we do things differently? And I think it's something that a lot of companies that we would look at as not being very good at customer experience, it's something they're not willing to do.
Okay, can you give, I would say, the example? Of course, it's if it's not under the NDA, actually, what company does before and what company become to do after your trainings?
There are some difficult things there because, of course, there are sensitive things that can't necessarily be spoken about. And the thing is, there are really cool things that companies have done after my training that I would look at and go, oh yeah, I could see how they do that, but I can't necessarily claim that it's because of the training. But if I tell you a little story about Disney, for example, I am not claiming that they did this because of my training at all. But
Okay.
if I link it back, if I link it back to some of the things in the training, then that might be useful for you. So one of the things we talk about in the training is about understanding what that successful customer outcome is. You need to understand what is that successful outcome and then work backwards towards the experience. Now, what most companies do is they start with the experience, they try and improve it, and then go out into the world and say, hey, who wants to buy our products? Who wants to buy our services? What the smarter companies do is do it the opposite way round. Understand who those customers are, understand them at such a deep level, understand their needs and their successful outcomes, and then work backwards to the experience. Create the experience that delivers those needs, that delivers those successful outcomes. Now, a successful outcome, it's not a big paragraph, it's not a mission statement. A lot of times it's just one word. Okay? It's that thing that people are interacting with you to achieve. And you can use it as a vision. You can use it as inspiration. Okay. So for example, what is the successful outcome of people visiting a Disney theme park?
I think happy children.
Fun.
Okay.
Yes.
We got fun, happy children. And it doesn't take a little digging to sort of round the edges off that and make it a little bit more markety and get to a word like magic. So we could probably all agree that for the kids going to Disney, their successful outcome is magic. Now, one of the things they've started to do is give out magic bands. So you get these magic bands, you get them a couple of weeks before you actually go and stay with Disney. Nice thing about this magic band is it allows you to get into your hotel room. Boop. You can pay for things with it. Boop. You can do the fast track. Boop. Nice thing about that is it means when you check into the hotel, you don't actually have to go and check in because all your details are already on there. You know which room you're going to be in. You just go in. It saves you time there and makes the experience easier and fast and convenient. It means that when you're in the theme park, you don't need to take your wallet with you with actual cash because all of your details are on the magic band. So that makes it really easy and convenient to do. But what they're going to start to do is you'll walk past an advertising hoarding on the wall. And because that magic band knows your information, it can augment in real time to say, hello, Dodkins family, as you walk by. Hi, James. Welcome to Disney. You're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But the thing that really gets me is imagine you're there with your daughter and it's her 6th birthday. And for her 6th birthday, you've taken her to Disney. Now, because you've got all of the information on these magic bands, there's lots of things that can ping around and understand you as a customer. And let's say Cinderella is in the corner And Cinderella's there with her handler, but you know they're always there with a person with them, and that handler can see on their little device that's little Sarah's. It's little Sarah's 6th birthday today. So the handler will tell Cinderella, Cinderella, over there, her name's Sarah, and it's her 6th birthday today. So then Cinderella goes over, she bends down and says, "Happy birthday, Sarah. You're 6 today, aren't you?" And Sarah's like, "What the fuck?" Well, she doesn't say that, but she's like, "Oh my God, what? Cinderella knew it's my birthday." And then, so they have the little interaction and Cinderella goes away. And then little Sarah looks up at her dad and says, "Dad, how did Cinderella know it was my birthday?" What is the only answer he can give?
Magic.
Magic. There you go. I am not claiming responsibility for that at all.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know you could see how that concept of understanding the successful outcome and then building experiences to deliver that could, in an alternate universe, have created something like that. Please don't sue me, Disney.
Okay, you probably will not be quite honest with me during the answer for my next question. Have ever Elon Musk visited your trainings? Because he is the master of amazing and I would say magic things. Actually, Twitter works with such things pretty good. No? Or it's a secret?
I agree. Right? No, he's never been to any of my trainings. But yeah, he's again one thing that that Tesla do particularly well is that understanding of that bigger picture, that overarching outcome, the big thing they want to achieve, and then aligning things towards the delivery of it. And it's not just Tesla; it's SpaceX, the Boring Company, all those different companies that they all have this big vision. It's almost like a massive version of a successful outcome that they want to deliver. Make sure that everything they do is aligned towards the delivery of it. So it's a very similar thing. Didn't get it from me, but I agree with you.
Okay.
I have another one question. You see, we are talking about the companies that they are really interested in their customer experience. They're really on it. It's Disney. It's a huge company that built on these principles. But the most of companies they are not have this experience. Great. And do you have some advices for people who want to become the driver of the great customer experience in their company?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest lesson we can take from people like Disney, for example, is being deliberate. Disney didn't become the way they are by accident. They're very deliberate about everything they do. Nothing they do is by chance. Everything they do is thought out. All the way from the way that they space their trash cans at the theme park, all the way through to the bathrooms not having mirrors in them. Do you know why their bathrooms don't have mirrors?
No, I don't.
Because we spend most of the time in the bathroom staring at ourselves in the mirror, thinking Prince Charming's going to come or Cinderella's going to see me. She's going. They realise they spend most of the time in the bathrooms doing that. So to keep things moving, to keep things, quick, they don't have mirrors. That's not by accident. That's not by chance. It's very deliberate. Start to be very deliberate about everything you do, and sooner or later you will start to create this amazing culture, this amazing organization that's doing amazing things, not just for your customers, but for your employees as well, for everyone involved.
Thank you a lot. But how to deliver these things to the other of company, to the other of team, to the other of people, not only you.
How do you mean? Sorry.
You see, when you're driving some great experience, but there are in companies people who are not, they're working by their processes, and you are trying to give really great customer experience okay. How to make everyone believe in this?
Well, to be fair, you gave a good example earlier with Elon Musk and the companies that he's involved in. It's having that big vision. It's having that thing that you want to achieve. It's having a mission for the company that everybody buys into. Now, vision and mission are two separate things. People get these mixed up quite a lot. The way I think about it is vision is selfish, mission is selfless. Okay, so the vision is the thing you want the company to achieve. Okay, the first rocket on Mars, the first electric vehicle with a 0 to 60 time of half a second. That's something you want the company to achieve. Okay, most profitable, this, that, and the other. The mission is selfless. That's what you want to achieve for the world. That's the legacy you want to leave for your customers. That's how you want to help people. And you can unite behind either one. And it is good to have them feed into each other and realize that, okay, the selfish thing you want to achieve is probably only going to happen if you achieve the selfless thing. Okay. If you want to be the most profitable, if you want to make $1 billion, whatever, okay, you're only really going to achieve that if you achieve the mission, the thing for the customers. But it's uniting everyone behind that. It's hiring people that can see that vision and can get behind it and believe in it. It's basically talking about it in every meeting, on every notepad it should be printed, on every t-shirt it should be there. It's hammering it home, having that big grand vision that people can get behind and feel part of, feel like they're part of something more. And as you say, people are in their processes, they're doing things every day, they're doing their tasks and activities, and they're getting paid for processing this and doing that. Allow them to see that the work they're doing on a daily basis is helping contribute to something more, something bigger. And that's when they realize, well, okay, yeah, I'm doing this thing, but I'm achieving that thing. So that's probably the best example is from people like Elon Musk.
Thank you a lot.
Uh,
James, you're also really active at teaching at trainings. Could you please say some words about how did you come to these things? Why did you decide to teach people how to make something?
Various reasons. Number one, so I used to do training and consultancy. I enjoyed the training more and I was better at it than I was consultancy. So I was like, I'm just going to stop doing the consultancy and I'll keep doing the training because it's what I like doing. And I realize you can help more people that way. Look, a consultancy gig, you might be with a company for 1, 2, 3 years. You're only really helping that company. And a lot of times with consultancy, you're not passing on the knowledge. You can try and do that knowledge transfer. And it's something I used to do, but it is harder. With training, you've got more people out in the world trying to improve customer experience in what I would consider and what many other people would consider the right way. So it's kind of like you get to touch more lives doing training. And also, as a rock star, I like being in front of a group of people, standing up on stage, so to speak. I enjoy it more. I enjoy the energy of training, trying to cram so much knowledge into a really short period of time in a fast, intense, transformative way. And that moment when you see in someone's eyes that you've transformed the way that they think, that they will never think about customer experience in the same way again. There are very few feelings in the world better than that.
Right.
James, I would like to back to your list of clients and just trying to think about, for example, the Mercedes-Benz. You give us a great example. When you think about the Disney, you say magic. When you're talking and thinking about the Mercedes-Benz, you probably should think about something like a premium, or aristocratic. That's correct? So
yeah, something along those lines. It's going to be like a feeling of pride or gratification or something along those lines. But the thing is, it's not the same for every customer. It's not the same for every experience. But yeah, with the high-end car companies, that's the kind of successful outcome that you're trying to achieve for those people.
So actually, you are, when you consult the company or do the training, you're actually trying to teach people how to make their clients feel that they own the premium car or aristocratic car or feel the pride, correct?
I mean, for Mercedes-Benz, for example, yes, because you could buy any car that doesn't cost as much as a Mercedes and it will do the same job. You don't buy a Mercedes to get from A to B. You buy a Mercedes to feel a particular way. You buy a Mercedes to validate the work that you do every day. You buy a Mercedes to create this like persona in the world, to let other people know that you're doing well. And it's that understanding that really helps forge not just the products they make, but the experiences they deliver as well. So, for example, Kia, they have a very different type of customer who has very different needs and has very different successful outcomes. They design their cars and their experiences to deliver those things. But then companies like Mercedes or BMW or Jaguar or Bentley or other car companies like that, they understand that the people buying their cars have different motivations for doing so. And they need to, make those come to life for the customer.
Okay, thanks.
Could you please tell about a little bit more about your cars, about what are you teaching?
Yeah, sure. So in the training, I don't tell people what to do. Okay, it's not this experience should be like this experience should be like that. What I do is give them a framework that will teach them how to think in a customer experience way so that they can figure out what to do for themselves, if that makes sense. So the training, the method they learn is the successful customer outcome method. And it's 3 stages to take an experience and make it better. And that's understand, improve, and embed. So understand who your customers are and their successful outcomes, improve the experience to deliver those outcomes, and then embed it in your organization. But it's realizing that the best companies in the world didn't become the best companies in the world by just copying everyone else, but doing it a bit better. They did it by thinking differently about what they do. That's what I'm trying to teach people how to do. Think differently about the experiences. I want to give them the methodology and the framework to be able to create experiences that have never been created before. Not just say, hey, this is what this company does, you should do that. It's, hey, this is what this company does, and this is how they think. This is how they created that. This is the mindset that caused them to create that experience. Don't copy the experience, copy the mindset. So most of it is about thinking, but there is actually a practical, replicable, systematic framework that you go through in the training that can take you from a crappy experience to a legendary experience.
Okay, great. I would like to ask questions about the consultancy you're doing.
Yes.
I think when customer comes to you and asks for your services, it's pretty simple. Actually, you're just doing your job. At the same time, I would expect that you've done a lot of tryings to grab new customers, and actually you've tried to sell your services. How you convince the, for example, CEO of the company, big company or small company, to buy your services? How you convince the CEOs that investment into the customer experience will return?
So, to be fair, one of the things that I do teach in the training is about return on experience investment. Because one of the things we're really bad at as customer experience professionals is showing the return on the work that we do. We just go, it's kind of all soft and fluffy. And a lot of people think of customer experience as like a markety type thing. And it's like, there's no like hard measurements attached to it. And you can't prove that it's any good. And a lot of customer experience professionals back that thinking up. We kind of don't think we should have to prove that it's valuable because everybody should know that it's valuable. I think differently. I think that we do need to prove the return on investment that companies are putting into customer experience. Because the thing is, executives don't care about your satisfaction scores. Executives don't care about your pretty customer journey maps on the wall. They don't care about the nice personas. They don't care about anything other than the bottom line. They care about the money. That's their job. Their job is to care about the money. So you need to link customer experience to what they care about, which is the money. And there's 4 areas. It's only 4 areas that you've got to link it to. And it's really simple. People try and make this far more complicated than it needs to be. So with any customer experience work, not just that I do and have done in the past, anybody should link their customer experience improvement efforts to these 4 areas. Do you want to know what the 4 areas are?
No.
No. No. Do you want to know?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Right. Acquisition, wallet share, retention, cost. That's it. So if we do this thing, are we going to get more customers? If we do this thing, are they going to spend more money with us? If we do this thing, are they going to stay with us for longer? And if we do this thing, is it going to cost us less to operate? That's it. And then, so you do the thing, you improve something, and the way that you validate it is say, did we get more customers? Did they spend more money with us? Did they stay with us for longer? And did it cost us less to operate? So all you got, literally those 4 things, that's all. If you can link the work you do to those 4 things, it's fine. Forrester have said that within a year, 25% of all customer experience professionals are going to lose their jobs because they can't demonstrate business impact. I don't want people to have to be, especially now, trying to find new jobs in this environment. So all you got to do is link what you do back to those 4 areas: acquisition, wallet share, retention, cost.
Okay, thanks. All of us know that you've been a musician and probably know you are a musician now. We know that you played the hard rock. You are also playing guitar on your keynotes and during your public speaking. Rumor says that it's just the way to attract the people instead of giving the real value. What do you think about that?
That's a fair rumor, to be fair. That's okay. The reason I do it is to try and be fun and interesting and memorable, because at the end of the day, it is kind of a gimmick. It's something that people don't see at all in keynotes, let alone customer experience keynotes. They never see a guy come out and play guitar and then everything they talk about link it to music and, you know, get the crowd involved in the music as well. People don't see that. But the reason it's so effective is it makes it fun and it makes it memorable. So it means the things I talk about, the actual important things I talk about in the keynote, people are far more likely to remember them than if I just went and said, here you go, here's 5 things I'm going to tell you about, blah, 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 blah. They are still valid things. The fact that I link them to music, the fact that I play guitar in the talks, the fact that I make it a performance doesn't change the actual content itself, the validity of that content. The content is just as valid whether I wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to you or gave it in a big production like I actually do. The point of it is that the performance around it makes you listen to it more. It makes you sit there and go, whoa, I care what this guy's got to say. He's different. He's doing things. He's crazy. I want to hear what he's got to say. And it makes you more likely to remember them. There's been thousands of studies, I don't know if it's thousands, but lots of studies done to show that if you are enjoying yourself while learning, you are much more likely to remember what you've learned and therefore much more likely to implement what you've learned. So realistically, the reason I do it is to make people remember the stuff and hopefully use it.
Okay, so probably rumors are wrong. Okay.
They're kind of half true.
Okay. You are great in public speaking. This is something you were born with, or you worked hard to become a really great public speaker?
I mean, I wasn't born a good public speaker. I wasn't born with the ability to speak, unfortunately. But what advantage I do have is that I spent a large percentage of my life traveling around the world playing guitar in front of crowds of people. So I'm very natural on stage. I feel at home on stage. I love the stage. I'm missing it like hell right now. I haven't been on stage for like 4 months now, three or 4 months. It's driving me mad. But I do have that advantage that I feel natural in front of a crowd. I enjoy being in front of a crowd. However, being able to play guitar doesn't mean that you're a good speaker necessarily. The advantage is that I feel natural on stage. The way that I got good is I just did it a lot. Anywhere that would take me, I would do it. I would do the talk. I would go. The first one I ever did was in a tiny little room. There was about 20 people in there. It all went wrong. There were like no speakers in the room. It was my time got cut in half just before I went on. It was a disaster. But I kept going. I kept going, and I kept going, and I got better and better and better. And every single time I do the talk, I like to think it's a little bit better than the time before. So the only real thing is just if you are out there and you are an aspiring speaker, you would like to get out there, you would like to be a keynote speaker, you would like to get to the point where you're being paid for keynote talks, do it as much as you can. You have to hone your craft. You have to practice. You have to get good at it. And it's not about practicing at home because, again, anyone can sit in their bedroom and play guitar well. You can learn to play guitar well. What makes you a good guitarist is to be able to get up on stage in front of a crowd of people and perform those songs. You don't get good at that by practicing in a room. You have to get out there. It's like the bands that are the best bands in the world. We talk about people like Metallica. We talk about people like Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, AC/DC. You can see I've got my
Led Zeppelin.
ACX, Led Zeppelin. It's ACXDCX. It's clever. It's a funny joke because I mean CX. Yes. You get it. Those people, they became very good at what they did by playing lots of shows and a lot of crappy shows in pubs and clubs to know people. That's how bands get good. You hone your craft, you get out there, you play those gigs, and then the crowds get bigger and the crowds get bigger, and then you can start asking for more money and you get more well known and you get better at what you do. It's exactly the same in the speaker world. Get out there, start doing it, do it anywhere that people will take you. You put your ego to the side for a while. Right, and just do anything and everything. Get out there, get practiced, and then before you know it, you're going to feel more comfortable. You're going to be much better at what you do, and that's how you do it. You get better at doing something by doing it.
Okay, who's your favorite guitar player? I'm just trying to imagine. Tony Iommi.
He's on my top 10 list because that dude basically invented heavy metal. Okay. As the story goes, right, he had an accident at work and chopped the top of his finger off, and it really hurt him to play guitar. So he had to down tune the guitar so the strings were more slack, so it didn't hurt so much. And that basically invented the heavy metal sound of tuning a guitar down and having lower tuning guitars. However, probably my favorite guitarist is James Hetfield of Metallica. So not Kirk Hammett, who's the lead guitarist, but James Hetfield. He's not the best guitarist in the world. He's not the most talented. He doesn't have the best technique in the world. But the music he makes, the riffs that he writes, make you feel something as a listener. I'm not into the sort of guitar music where people are doing all the fast stuff. It's very impressive, but it doesn't make you feel anything. I like music that's crafted in a way that makes you feel something, that builds those emotions in you, just like customer experience. It's and I think that James Hetfield is a brilliant musician when it comes to doing that. Not being fancy for fancy's sake, not trying to show off with the cool techniques that he knows, but actually writing music that makes people feel something. So for me, James Hetfield, favorite guitarist.
Okay, when we have started talking about the rock groups, can we say which rock group delivers the best customer experience? Actually,
Kiss.
It's about custom. Actually, yes, my option was also the Kiss. Yes, yes. What about, for example, Muse?
Rammstein.
Yeah, they are brilliant. The thing is, what those bands have realised, people like Muse, people like Rammstein, any bands that have a big production, they've realised that it's a little bit more. It's about the entire experience. It's not just about hearing the music. It's about creating something memorable. And now, I have never seen Rammstein live. I would love to see them, but I've seen videos of their stage show, and it is crazy. It is immense. And it's putting in that extra effort that makes them so memorable, that makes them so good. The lead singer from Rammstein used to be like a pyrotechnics engineer, I think. He used to like blow up buildings for a living. So that's why he started putting like pyrotechnics in the stage show, because he was like licensed to do so or something. But yeah, those bands that really put on a show, they really think about it. Like, for example, I went to see Metallica last year, the year before, whenever they were touring last. And they had a really cool stage set, like really cool monitors that came down from the ceiling. They had drones that I think Muse do as well. You look a little bit like, was it Matt Bellamy from Muse? I don't know if anyone's ever told you that before. You look a little bit like him. But anyway, no. But anyway, these drones came up from the ground, started moving around, started to the music, creating crazy patterns in the air. And I was like, wow, that is really cool. How cool is that? The thing is, those extras are great as long as you get the basics right. If they would have played the songs badly, I would have thought, well, those drones are just there as a distraction. They're just trying to distract me because they're playing the song so badly, because they've lost it. But because they did the foundations correct, because they did, the basics well, all those extras really added to the experience. But there are bands out there like Fleetwood Mac, one of my favourite bands, right? I've seen them play. They don't have any really fancy stage show. They've got the normal setup. But what they do is they get on stage and they play for 3 hours flawlessly without a single break. As companies, we can take lessons from that. Do we want to have all the added bells and whistles? Do we want to go over the top? If we do, that's fine. That's a perfectly fine strategy, but get the basics right first. Or do we want to just get the basics right? It's okay. You don't have to wow every customer. People think that you have to wow customers every time. That's not the case. Just doing the basics right many times is good enough. So for me, bands like Metallica, bands like Muse, bands like Rammstein that put on a big show, it's amazing and I love to see it. But the thing they need to get right first is the basics. If they played the songs badly, no one would care about the fireworks. But bands like Fleetwood Mac that literally just play the songs, they are also amazing too, because they're getting the basics right. So the message is, get the basics right.
I also think the same is fair for the Jethro Tull as a fleet. Not?
Yeah, and like people like Sigur Rós, they just get on stage, they play through what they do. People stand in the crowd like, oh my god, this is so cool. They don't need all of the extras, and it's a decision. It's a business decision. Like, for instance, McDonald's. They don't need all the bells and whistles. They don't need to go over the top. They don't need to wow people. They just need to do what they do well, consistently. And consistently is the thing. They need to just do it consistently. But there are other companies out there, people like Mercedes, the more high-end companies, people like Tesla, that want to go above and beyond. But it all does depend on the type of customers you've got. And I think in music, it depends on the type of fans you've got as well. If Fleetwood Mac all of a sudden started putting on a Rammstein-like stage show, don't think the fans are going to really be that invested in it. They might be a little bit scared. But again, if Rammstein came out and just didn't do any of that, then that's bad as well, because there's certain expectations that have been created. So, and expectations is a whole other subject when it comes to customer experience, but maybe we'll cover that a little bit later.
Yes, thank you. I think we are moving to the end. So basically, I would like you to give an advice to the novice people who would like to start the career in customer experience. Where to start, and is it really worth to start? Probably they should do something else.
So for people that want to start a career in customer experience,
Yes. What is your
just
advice?
learn as much as you can, as often as you can, and never stop.
Any list of books, resources? I know about your trainings, but probably there are.
I'm in my training, of course.
Yes.
What I would say is connect with people on LinkedIn or Twitter. You know what? I don't really actually like Twitter, so take that back. LinkedIn is a good place. Follow the hashtag CX. Follow the hashtag customer experience. Look at what people are talking about. Get involved in the conversations. See what those people are suggesting. I mean, I could list books for years about customer experience that are good to read. And I can if you want me to. But probably the best thing is start talking to people that are already in that career. Like maybe don't talk to people like me that aren't a practitioner anymore. Like I'm in the thought leader category now, which is great fun. But there's people out there that are actually doing it on a daily basis. Maybe go and talk to those people, understand how they're doing it, understand how they got into it, understand that path. I think that's probably going to be a lot more valuable than listening to the authors and the people like me. To start with, try and find other people that are doing the thing you want to do and talk to them and take my training.
Okay. We have.
And also talk with the customers a lot.
Ding 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 ding. Perfect.
Okay. We just get several questions, and we probably should also ask for you. Who is the person that should be responsible for the customer experience in the company? I would say each answer up to 2 minutes.
Okay. Everyone.
Everyone. Everyone means
Theoretically,
no one.
yeah. Like, ooh. Well, theoretically, yes, everyone should be responsible. In an ideal world, that would be the case. In another ideal world, the CEO would be responsible for customer experience. They would be driving a customer centric company. But other than that, there are customer experience teams. So directors of customer experience, chief customer officers, heads of customer experience. Look, the purest theoretical answer is everybody should be responsible. And the honest answer is, if you want to be responsible for it, you can start to do things in your organization that will help with customer experience, even if it's not part of your job role and responsibility. You can still do stuff. But so, for example, a lot of times customer experience sits under marketing. I don't really like that. I think it should be the other way around. Like, marketing is a subset of customer experience, as far as I'm concerned, because it is something the customer is experiencing. So where it sits in your organization, it's a tough one. It's great if you can have your own customer experience department. It's even better if you don't need one, because everyone in the organization is thinking through that. It's great if you've got a customer-centric leader that's disseminating customer experience throughout the entire organization. But a lot of times it falls under marketing.
Okay. What all challenges you face as a musician on how to go public?
I don't understand that question. Just say it again.
What all challenges you face as a musician on how to go public? I think you already answered the question. This question, so
When you say how to go public, I think that's the part I don't understand.
yes. Let's try other one.
Okay.
It's about the flamenco. Actually, I don't know is a joke or not, but let's try. Hi James,
Hi.
do you have suggestion on how to start learning flamenco?
Yeah, buy a classical guitar and watch some YouTube videos. There you go.
Okay. I think there are no more questions. So, James, thank you for your time. It was really interesting, actually, especially about the music.
Sure.
It was really interesting. I would say fun and emotional, and I would say you deliver a really great customer experience.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. It was really pleased to meet you.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Okay, so see you next week. And it was James Dodkins, the real customer experience rockstar. Bye.